The Canadian Grand Prix, the track that holds the record for the longest race in F1 history in 2011 and almost took the mantle for one of the most boring in 2025. The weekend started with McLaren finally showing a crack in their form.
Some say they had more crack than Robert Downey Jr. on a Tuesday night.
Through practice, some big names made some untimely mistakes, with Leclerc doing his best Lance Stroll impression in FP1 and missing FP2 as a result. Oscar kissed the infamous Wall of Champions in FP3, cementing his destiny.
Hey, you heard it here first.
Qualifying was marred with many reports of blocking throughout the field and cars still struggling with the slippery conditions. Namely, Lando oopsie McFumbles Norris, who bollocksed up again.
Lando was making more mistakes in his Iron Throne than King Joffrey did in his.
George Russell started with too much cargo, dropped one Brit, and now he's making dough.
Russell sent it with no Vaseline to take pole.
Anticipation was high to start this Grand Prix, with the front two having more conflict than when Tommy misplaced his vacation VHS with Pam. Despite the excitement and social media meme supremacy, the Grand Prix followed the current F1 theme, being as slow and seductive as Fat Bastard.
Oh, do you find me sexy? Oh, look at my titties.
Just before the race was declared a fizzer, lapped traffic got involved and condensed the two McLarens, and what followed was pure cinema, as Lando rear-ended Oscar. I always suspected Lando, but Oscar said no means no, and was lucky to escape the tussle. After being under threat at the end of the race, Oscar leaves Canada with a 22-point lead, and Lando leaves closer to Max than he is to Piastri.
Max is preying on the weak Lando like his name is Jeffrey Dahmer. He already had his balls in the freezer.
Round 1. Player 1. Ready. Player 2. Ready. Fight.
All right, Timmy, thanks for joining me in the Box Box Banter studios.
Yeah, thanks for having me, A.F.K.
The A.F.K. Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
You can do better than that.
Yeah.
That's like a 5 out of 10.
Okay, alright, noted.
Just wanted to note that we're the #1 video game inspired Formula One podcast
Oh,
on the internet.
I believe you.
Yep. It's we took a poll. The fans took a poll, and they voted us #1. So
Awesome.
well done
Great.
to us.
Great.
Yeah.
I won't fact check you.
Please don't.
I'll take your word for it because I like the sound of it.
All right, Montreal, done and dusted. Montreal.
Yes.
How would you say it?
Montreal.
Yeah, well,
Might not
say
be
it.
right there.
What? How about we go with Canada?
Yeah, we're not natives.
Canada.
Yeah.
It's looking like a snooze fest there for 60 odd laps until the man himself,
Which one?
Lando,
Yeah.
does what he does best, bottle things up. So I wanted to just break it down real quick for you. The lead cars, they catch up to the back markers
At the worst time.
at the worst time. Everyone, navigates it pretty well, and it seems like Oscar and Russell were probably the most disadvantaged with where they were held up by the back markers. They lost the most time, basically allowing Verstappen back, within striking distance, and Lando within DRS range of Oscar. So Oscar, who had a decent buffer from his teammate, all of a sudden was put under immense pressure and
put under attack.
yeah, and had to. We were basically had the first sighting of a McLaren fight. A true fight, even though it wasn't maybe earned by Lando. It was more an opportunistic.
Yeah,
moment.
he was coming, but slow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He definitely, no doubt, he had more pace, but yeah, the back markers played a part there.
I mean, I was praying that we'd get that Oscar could just hold on long enough to get the DRS back from Kimi.
Yeah.
And he got back to that margin.
I wasn't even
Crucially.
watching the racing. I was watching the timing tower
Yeah.
just hoping that margin would get back under a second.
Yeah.
So Norris mounts a couple of attacks, can't really get anything done, and then he finally sends it pretty late and from
It was
afar
very deep.
into turn 10,
Yeah.
and goes in deep naturally, making a move like that.
Yeah.
Oscar sees it coming, makes the crisscross, gets a good exit out of turn 10, and they are running down back to the chicane. And it looks like Norris was given the slipstream by Kimi.
Mm-hmm.
So gets a run on Piastri. Piastri then pulls off one of the best braking maneuvers we've seen since Daniel Ricciardo. Yeah. And what does he do? He holds the line and takes the chicane, but he is now at a disadvantage back on the front straight.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where everything changed. So Norris gets a good run on him. Piastri positions the car pretty much exactly where you'd want to put the car to try and have any attempt at defending into the first corner.
Mm-hmm.
And Norris decides to go on the inside where there is no space and doesn't yield, doesn't alter his direction at all, and just runs straight into the back of Piastri and essentially ruining his own race.
Yep.
Losing another 10 points in the championship, and luckily for him, he doesn't DNF Oscar as well to create a double DNF. So, what do you make of that from the Norris standpoint?
It's very exciting. I mean, he almost did it. Like that move, like you don't really do that move at the hairpin on your teammate.
No,
I do think it's a good move. It was ambitious.
Good move. He pulled it off.
And he pulled
it clean.
Yep.
All fair.
It took Oscar to see him coming and to move out of the way. But again, that's the cool, calm head of Oscar to, all right, you got me, but here's how I'm going to position myself to get the run. And Oscar really had positioned himself nicely where he was then down on the inside and got that run back. But it was that move, like, so all that Lando really set it up well.
Yeah.
Like that was the stuff that you need. Like he almost proved a good point there. Like that's the stuff you need to win races to be world champion. Like he set that move up from the hairpin. But then he undoes, because even though Oscar got the run back down the back straight, like Lando put him in that position, which was, as you said, it was disadvantage to Oscar coming out of that chicane. So everything Lando had done was still a net positive to him getting getting that position. But what happened next just didn't make any sense. Like you said, he went to go down the left, and we've seen at this track time and time again, going around the outside of turn 1 is a viable option because then the next turn goes right. So then you just got to hold on, and then you've got one of two things. The inside car pushes you off track, and you make the stewards make a call, and you're pretty safe to get back on track, or you hold on the outside and you get the inside line.
Well, you could take it back to lap 1, and essentially that's what Antonelli had done to Oscar. He had the right-hand side of the track and just held that line until eventually he got the right-hand corner and had track position. So.
And it's such a common overtake.
Yeah.
You know? So he did a good job to get there, and Oscar did a great job in defense and, you know, and attacking back to him.
Well, he's a sitting duck essentially, wasn't he?
Yeah, but as soon as the way they entered that chicane, he was always going to be at a disadvantage on the exit. Which again, all credit to Lando for getting him to that spot, but Piastri didn't do one single thing wrong.
No, he made Norris earn it, and it looked like he just basically lost patience. He did all the hard work, and then when it came time to make the move and to put all that hard work into effect, he lost his head and just made a mistake.
Just crashed into the back of him. It doesn't make any sense. And I've seen the crash probably 20, 30 times since it happened.
It's more, you can't understand it the more you watch it.
Yeah.
You're like, there's so much free track on the right hand side. What are you doing?
Yeah. Like straight away, we see a lot in Formula One, questionable moves that people get away with. You know, late moves to blocking of, you know, reacting to the move, all that sort of stuff. Oscar didn't do any of that. He didn't lock a brake.
No, he was very fair.
Deep exchange into the chicane. Like he braked late and he had to get that to maintain his fourth. But he didn't lock a brake. He didn't cut the chicane.
No.
He stayed fully in bounds of the track.
And Lando never got his car fully ahead to try and cut him.
And he
box him
tried.
out.
Lando was mid-track. Like he wasn't even on the racing line. You know, he was mid-track. He was trying to box Oscar out, but he forgot he was racing, I guess, because, you know, Oscar, he was almost like his front wing was probably at the rear tire.
Yeah.
Like he was
If
almost
there was-
about to lose that spot.
If there was another 20 meters, Norris has it.
Yeah.
Essentially
But
going
Oscar,
into the
he-
chicane.
Breaks late, and again, he keeps it in bounds. Like, not once did the stewards have to be called up for any of this because it was all. Like I said, credit to Lando for the pass at the hairpin. That was what he had to do. It was clear. Both McLarens, like Oscar was getting a better exit out of the hairpin, and at the chicane was probably very similar compared to Lando.
Mhm.
But we saw Oscar and Lando both couldn't get out of the hairpin anywhere near as good as Mercedes.
No.
So clearly that what seemed to be hampering the McLarens this weekend was just drive out of the chicanes and the hairpin. So when the cars were racing each other, obviously they're very similar. They're going to have the same issues.
Yeah.
And that's what it seemed to come across. But for whatever reason, Oscar even just had that little bit better drive out of the hairpin line or condition of tyres. So he had to make that move. And it was a good move and it was on. But Oscar is resilient and didn't take no for an answer. And we got the best battle we've had. And it was half a lap.
yeah. It was.
Best battle we've
It was
easily had between
essentially
those
a
two. But
chicane
it was
and two straights.
this season's been lacking racing. And that was a good 3 corners of racing.
Well, we had to wait 62 laps for something to happen. Yeah, it's funny. I mean, it does feel like everyone's been waiting for the McLarens to finally be able to actually attack each other and see what happens.
First time they do it, they crash.
So definitely, I think more than anything, Norris is going to come out of this, I think, losing a lot of confidence. Making a mistake like that and probably getting a good wrapping by the team. You're not going to feel great about that. To his credit, he owns up to it, and I think good on him. Like, it would have been easier to go onto the radio and blame him or say something.
Especially in the heat of the moment. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. But he came on straight away and owned it. But I do think this is going to be a big knock on his confidence, and this is only going to empower Piastri moving forward further, I think.
It seems to be a trend with Norris. I mean, we saw last year, the first time he really got to race Max wheel to wheel, probably ever, was Austria.
And how messy and sloppy it was.
And they came together and landed in it to come off second best.
Yeah.
Here he is again, the first time he's really had to race Piastri with, like, they're racing for fourth. Like, they weren't even racing for the win. Like, how many teammates probably don't race as hard as both of each other raced, And he come off second best. He made the dumb mistake, and he comes off second best.
Yeah.
Like, it is a trend with him that he's just, whether it's impatience, whether it's struggling to craft the move, like, and again, the hairpin move, like, that took a lot from Oscar to allow it to not be a crash. He could have assumed, he's 40 meters behind me.
Could have braked late.
He's probably 3 car lengths back.
Yeah.
Like, he's 3 car lengths back, picking the mirrors before you turn in, bang. Whereas, he sees him coming, gives him the move.
He played it fair.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he let the move happen and then he counter-attacked, which allowed him then to defend the chicane, coming up onto that front straight. So,
I mean, Lando would have had him, 100% would have had him if he went the right side of him.
Yeah.
And we're looking at a 7-point margin in the championship.
Yeah.
Except he went left, he crashed, we're looking at a 22-point lead in the championship.
Just as simple as that, isn't it? And that's how fine that the Formula One championship can be. Especially when it is clearly a 2-horse race. Every point counts. Like, I go back to Melbourne and I think how hard Oscar fought to get the car out of the grass, and he still just collected a couple points.
2 points something. 3 points,
Compared to like this sort of mistake where now Norris got no points and then created such a big point swing, giving Oscar a nice buffer. So obviously, as Australians and as Oscar fans, we were happy to see it. And I think overall McLaren seemed to handle it pretty well.
Yeah, I really like Andrea. Like, he just doesn't, like, it's like he's not media trained. Like, he'll just tell the media how it is, and he just seems disappointed more than anything. He's not angry. He's just like,
it shouldn't have happened.
We know the drivers know the rules. We want to let them race, and
there's one rule: don't hit each other.
Yeah,
and Oscar was fair. He didn't do anything dirty at all.
No, all of his defensive moves and his switchbacks, everything was incredibly well within the rules. There was nothing where you can go, he kind of...
It was pinpoint perfect. Even coming out of that hairpin, onto the straight, left Lando plenty of room on the left. He didn't squeeze
didn't
onto
squeeze
the
in,
grass
exactly.
or nothing like that. He was very fair in his engagement.
And then out of the chicane down the front straight where it all took place, he was very early going to the left. And he didn't even do the thing where they leave a car within 10 mil, you know, and just baiting him like... He
closed it off.
There was
no
three-quarters
room.
of a car width. Like, there was nothing there. He made his intentions clear.
Yeah.
And Lando had time to react. He went right across there and held that. And we saw when the contact made Lando, Oscar's still going left.
Yeah.
Like, he was leaving nothing up for chance there. The gap was already at 3/4 and he was still going left around a right-hand corner. Like, he was absolutely sealing that way off. And Lando just boneheaded decision to just keep the car there.
It really shows that he's his own worst enemy. You know, like he's in a fight with. He's not even like they're not even fighting another team or another driver. They're fighting each other in the same machinery for wins and for a championship. But Oscar's not even his biggest enemy. Himself is his biggest enemy. You know? He keeps
very soft
doing these things to himself. You know.
Yeah.
So,
well, like my takeaway that I've just written down my one note is, I'd be confident saying Oscar is now the world is.
You're calling it now? 14 races still to go.
I mean, it's not the biggest take because it's 20 points in the lead, but it's like he's mentally beaten Lando already.
Oh yeah, I mean, even just little things like McLaren struggled all weekend, right? But then Piastri still managed to qualify third, and Lando put it on seventh, and like that alone, that's another mental hit.
I mean, I said to you before the race started, you know, I expected Oscar to stay third, but I was like, maybe Lando gets fourth. Like, in any case, if he finishes ahead of Lando, no matter where they finish, it's just a net positive because
it's still a win.
Lando clearly he seemed to have his head around the car or the track a bit better.
Yeah.
All weekend.
Marginally.
And then marginally, but everything's marginally, you know. And then when the chips were on the table, like he stuffed it up.
Yeah.
And then we're looking at third and seventh. It's like, well, that's a big delta difference in favor of Oscar and for the points battle. And that was it. If he just stays ahead, like that's a positive outcome.
Yeah.
You know. I would almost say he's won 5 races this year. I think this is one of his best drives, or one of the most exciting races to watch, and the happiest I've been at the end of a result.
There's a saying here, and I don't know what it would be, but it would be something like, it's not about the races you win, it's about the races that you don't win, and where do you place and how do you handle it. The tracks that you're not the best driver or the best car on the grid, you know, what are you doing to minimize that damage? And, you know,
this is only the second time this year he's been off the podium.
Yeah.
And we know the reasons around the first one in Australia. And then this one, they just weren't there. Like you said, they're just not the quickest car this weekend.
Yeah.
Do what you can. I mean, a Mercedes won the race, so should we be surprised that a Mercedes got him off the line and was able to maintain position ahead of him? I don't think so. So, you know, him coming fourth, he dropped the spot, but him coming fourth is really, you'd have to say Mercedes was the quickest car.
Oh, well, obviously, yeah.
Kimmy's got the brain.
Way to state the obvious.
Yeah.
Not the hottest of takes around here, is it?
Well, call me Danica Patrick.
Hey, more on her later, all right?
Oh, okay.
All right. The other thing we should probably cover is the Russell and Verstappen rivalry. So, you know, this is one of my favorite narratives in F1 right now.
Yeah.
And
I was going to say it's becoming a thing, but I guess it was a thing last year, wasn't it?
It was a thing last year.
It's been brewing.
Yeah, it has been. And, you know, every race seems to add another chapter to it. And without going into the actual race itself, obviously there was quite a bit of safety car shenanigans after Lando caused that yellow flag. And I wonder how much of it was George trying to bait Verstappen into doing something, like making a silly mistake and then potentially, you know, losing another point and getting that one race suspension. Like, did he have that on his mind? Was he trying to play him?
Potentially. Like, we've seen Max does this. He does the range up beside the car for whatever reason. I don't know if it's intimidation tactics or what, but we've seen it go against Max. All of a sudden, the car that he's racing sees, oh, you're offline, bang, goes, catch him off surprise, especially in the corner. So it doesn't always work well for Max. So I don't know why he does it. Doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. But either way, him accidentally passing George, if he did intentionally slow down, it never means anything. Like, could you imagine if the FIA went, oh yeah, yeah, George, you slowed a little bit too much. Yeah, that's a 10-second penalty. It's like the regs say you can warm your brakes, you can weave, you can brake, you can do whatever you need to do. It's up to the car behind to maintain the gap necessary.
Yeah, the lead car sets the pace and controls the field, right?
So even if anything, like it doesn't matter. Max passed George, but then he gives a spot right back. Obviously, like it's nothing negligent. It was whatever. You wouldn't even call it an incident. Like
no,
it's
just another little barb in their rivalry.
But again, same thing. Can you imagine if the FIA went, it's 10-second penalty? Like, for what? For what? Like, it's just it's a nothing thing, and I just wish they'd just get over it.
Well, I love it on two levels. Like I love the gamesmanship because I think that this year we have not had a lot of racing. So these sorts of narratives at least bring something interesting to the table. There was a lot of chat about, them being on the front row after what happened in Barcelona. But I also love on another level that there's still that sort of like that hatred between Red Bull and Mercedes. Like even after Hamilton's left,
steep.
There's still like just such a great rivalry between those two teams. And Horner still does Horner things where he's looks for any way to try and throw him off and play these little mind games, and Toto does the same thing. So I like that. That's still a bit of a rivalry today.
Yeah, I mean, I was expecting big things off the line. It was actually a really even start, like the top 8.
We'll get there. Okay, let's move into the categories. So the first category is always the final boss category, and I don't see how anyone else earned it more than George Russell. Put it on pole. Got the win. Always looked pretty in control. Verstappen never really looked like he had anything for him.
No.
So dominant start to finish, as much as we hate to see it.
It really was. He actually did something and got a result.
Yeah, he earned it.
He didn't do the old George does nothing and get a podium. He earned it. He did the work on Saturday. Great lap too. I wasn't feeling any stress watching it. Like purple middle sector or whatever, I was just like, doesn't matter. This is George Russell we're talking about. Mercedes we're talking about. It was a bit of a shock. Obviously bumped our boy off the front row. So it was a shame. But did the job. And then, like you said, didn't seem under threat at all on Sunday. No. I mean, was able to eke the gap out. You said it, the only thing that really brought him back together was the lap traffic. Yeah. And as soon as that was clear,
he was
off he went
3
again.
seconds down the road,
nothing could take this away from him in the end. It would have been interesting to see a one-lap dash. Max gets pretty desperate in those times.
Yeah, I mean, almost unlucky that the incident took so long to happen that it sort of nullified the end of the race.
Yeah.
And, when we finally have something that shakes it up, we're kind of robbed of any sort of action there.
Well, I've said it before. I think F1 should utilize the red flag more. They've got a 4-hour window to get 2 hours of racing done including red flag time.
Well, imagine that. Imagine another restart for 2 laps.
Well, yeah. I mean, do it. Yeah. You have the tools. You have the equipment.
Yeah.
Do it. Why not? Like, you're in the same sport. It's not even manipulation because, especially in that point, 3 laps left. Get everyone in. You can all put on your fresh boots.
Yeah.
We're going to have a 3-lap sprint. Everyone wants to see this, I don't see it being any...
No, they used to love to throw out red flags. Now they're very reluctant to throw out a red flag. So.
Like you're looking at, all right, we can almost definitely finish the last 3 or 4 laps on the safety car, which nobody wants to see. Or we can call a red immediately.
Yeah.
Yep, you got to finish that lap to come in, 3 laps to go.
Yeah, they did miss an opportunity. So that was his 4th career win, which, like, to me, seems like he should have more. I don't know why. It just seems like he should have more than 4. If you were to ask me how many he had, I would have said at least half a dozen. So I was a bit surprised to hear that was just his 4th. But
yeah, I mean, what's that? This is his 4th year in the team, so he's averaging 1 a year.
Yeah, a little bit different to his rival Verstappen.
Yeah,
he's got as many championships. So
yeah,
there you go. They're on different levels there.
Well, if he's got 4, we know Oscar's got 7. Lando's got 6, and Charles has 6.
I think Charles has 6 as well. Yeah,
so he must be the next winningest driver. I assume. Sounds right.
Yeah,
which would make him the 7th most winningest Formula 1 driver on the grid.
Minusing out guys like Alonso and Hamilton. What did you?
That's what I'm saying. So we spoke about it last week. I think they were 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Oscar's 4. Lando and Charles 5, 6, and then so he'll be the 7th most winningest driver on the grid with his
nothing to write home about.
No.
All right, NOOB.
That's pretty good. Yeah. Do you want me to go first?
Go first.
So I've got Zach Brown.
Okay.
So he takes the weekend off.
You love a little left field.
I do. Well, yeah. I don't want to be matchy with you. I mean,
Yeah.
you probably got like Lawson or some shit, which I'd respect fully, mind you. You probably will win if that's the case.
Yeah.
But Zach Brown, he takes the weekend off to go to Le Mans.
Yeah.
Not even for, as far as I'm aware, not even for an entry. There's not even, him or McLaren or United Autosports don't have an entry. He was there purely unveiling a McLaren hypercar for the 2027 entry into Le Mans.
Yep.
So he wasn't even there to overlook any kind of racing.
Well, I mean, he knows how typically boring Canada is, right?
Well, you got to, he leaves them. He leaves the team in the trusting, or what was trusting hands of Andrea.
Yeah.
And look what happened.
Yeah.
The first time, I'm guessing this year, Zach hasn't been around. And it's in his own, it's not his backyard. It's not America, but it's close enough. It's one of the closest races he's going to have to himself, and he doesn't turn up. And the cars go and crash.
All right. That's a bit weak. I don't see how you can't award it to Norris, which is obviously
I've got
the
him
easier.
elsewhere. I've got him elsewhere.
Well, it's the easy answer because obviously, number one, he doesn't know how to overtake. So, binned his race. Very lucky not to have binned Oscar's race. Honestly, I don't even know how he didn't. But I think beyond that, the level of, I don't know what the right word is, let's say disrespect, that his engineer has to coach him how to approach his racing now. Like, you don't hear that from any other driver. And
No.
whether they don't just play those radios, that could be a thing for sure. But why are we hearing his engineer tell him how to drive the car?
It makes me...
That's embarrassing.
Yeah, it is embarrassing. And a couple of years ago, they had the rules about engineers can't talk to their drivers.
Yeah.
Effectively was the rule.
No one wants to hear that.
You can't coach him. You can't talk about settings on the steering wheel. You couldn't talk about like anything really besides strap. And at the time, I'm thinking, who cares? Like what? But now you're sort of seeing that, and because apparently they were telling him how to manage quali or something.
Yeah.
Like they were coaching him on how to. It's like, man, you're a 5 or 6 year veteran. Like that's a decent. You're effectively just starting your career now.
Yeah.
Last year, you've been in the sport for 5 or 6 years.
And with the same team as well.
Yeah,
It's not like it's a brand new car.
How are you still getting coached in session?
That is noob level
You're
stuff.
right. And that's what I said. See, I don't end up agreeing with you. I just wanted to bring a different point to the table.
No, good.
But you're right. I mean, they should.
I get like the little things like, all right, you can improve at this corner. But it seems like his engineer's taking it to a whole nother level on coaching him how to, even just the little things like Oscar's out of DRS range. Now's your time to attack. And it's like, surely he knows that. Why would you need to tell him that?
But not to mention, it shouldn't matter. It really shouldn't matter.
No.
It should be like,
they already know the rules. They talk about it all the time. The rules have not changed for 2 years at least. So, yeah, it's that's noob worthy.
and I think it was Crofty. He did bring up a good point with Andrea. He's like, he said something to the effect of, we heard Lando's engineer really coaxing him on saying the car ahead is this and that and go get him, and did that impact Lando's mindset as talking about Oscar as a rival, not a teammate. And Andrea was good about it. No, he, everyone is out there to get the highest position, effectively, so it's fine. But it's like, that is a good point. Again, you're egging your driver on, but you've got these papaya rules and rules of engagement, and you always should be more careful with your teammate.
Yeah.
But he's being egged on as the car ahead is weak here, whatever the case, And I always just hate it anyway. Doesn't matter what team you're in. Like, referring to the team car as the car ahead, the other car, like, whatever. Like, like, he's your teammate. He's someone that you'll help every other session.
Yeah.
Just have a bit of respect for the, Oscar's the car ahead. You're free to race. Simple as that.
Yeah. I don't like hearing it. So,
I mean, he was also, Lando, real quick, very quick when they asked him in the pen about, because this is his MO, they had to ask him, did you at any point ask to go through, any talk about you being the faster car?
Yeah.
And he was just like, nope, no. Like, shut it down straight away.
Yeah,
So
good.
that was
I
interesting.
mean, that's been a thing in the past for him, hasn't it? So, Buffed. Who do you have for this week?
Fernando Alonso.
Ooh, I knew you were going to have him in here somewhere.
He
had a good race. I'll give
he
him
did
that.
have a good race, and he finished in the points again. Decent quality.
Yep.
At some point during the race, his teammate, his engineer, said to him, something to the effect of, 3 or 4 corners, just
To back it off a bit.
back it off,
Yeah.
be careful, be mindful of these corners with your tyre wear.
Yeah.
And he responded with, this is racing, not testing.
Yeah.
And I'd said to you earlier in the race about, this sucks. Like, because he himself actually let through Lando, I think it was, with no resistance.
Yeah.
And I said to you, like, come on, like,
At least.
and because the commentator's like, oh, it's not his race, but it's like every car on the grid should be his race, should be everyone's race.
Especially on a track like this where everyone was saying it's a DRS train and, it's very hard to overtake. Like,
Yeah.
why wouldn't you just attempt
Just
some defense?
fight the cars on track, because especially in his position, I think it was 6th at the time, you're not going to get further up the grid.
No.
Like, if you qualified well, in my opinion, fucking make your car twice as wide and do not let cars through.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, the racing's already as stale as it is that we
Yeah.
don't need drivers just waving on cars by like, you're not my race. I'm just happy
Exactly.
to finish in the points. So.
But he seemed to be the only car that wasn't saving tyres. He come out of his pit cycle 19th, and he was passing cars like no tomorrow. And he had the pace. And again, it was almost like he was like, you know what?
He strapped the Canadian Grand Prix to his back, and he was like,
Yeah.
I've got
But
this.
it was good to see the whole race, and even with Oscar, like, 30 odd laps to go, there was still maybe one stop, maybe two stops. So it's no matter what, at that point you're conserving, because you're not going full send yet. It's like, and that's what that last 10, 15 laps was looking good. Everyone was just now full send. We saw 4.5 seconds between first and fourth, I think, with Oscar.
Fifth.
Maybe even not Lando there.
Yeah.
We saw that gap was coming down. It was looking like traffic really ruined it. Like, it was looking like if Oscar probably had the pace to at least get max if he could get the overtakes done efficiently. He couldn't, and then traffic got in the way and whatnot. But it was actually looking like it was going to generate a really good race, and that's what we could have if if the drivers were allowed to race with their tires. Yeah, we could be good racing, but instead it's every track we go to. We saw Oscar 4 laps in. All right, plan B lap times, like 4 laps in straight away.
Yeah.
Like, you're already reducing the car's pace to just maintain.
Yeah. And no one wants to watch that. I mean, this is supposed to be the pinnacle of motorsport. People pay very good money to go to these races, and that's what it's reduced to. Just
you want to see the
conserve
cars on
tyres.
track racing.
We don't want to race fast, blah, blah, blah.
And who knows what the fix is, because it's say, hey, you know what, mandate 2 stops.
Yeah.
But then we saw what that happened in Monaco.
Well,
I mean, mind you, this is a more...
You get a slower race.
You're going to get cars passing because it's a better track for it. But at least if you did mandate 2 stops, then you go, all right, there's no question. Like, you have to do 2. You might as well use your tyres you got. Instead of this, 1.5,
Make it more convincing to race hard and not conserve.
Or
that's what we have.
I feel like in the 5 or 6 years ago, I feel like we saw a bigger differentials between the compounds they'd bring. So you might be compelled to go, even though it's an extra stop, it's almost definitely quicker.
Yeah.
So, yep. And they'd come in, and like the race that comes to my mind, it was 2021, maybe 2020 French Grand Prix. I feel like it was 21 because I feel like it was that max year. Pitting with like stupid, like 8 laps left, pitting from like the lead or second, and then being able to put his tyres on and run down Lewis Hamilton to get the win.
Yeah.
Because like the difference between the compounds was so great. Like, you can offset a pit stop in a short amount of time. And again, once they get close, the racing's not great, but you're mixing things up. You're getting cars driving fast.
Yeah, it is a bit silly when you can't really see the difference in lap times between a soft compound tyre and a medium compound tyre. It's like, well, then why do we even
to the
have
point where Q3, some cars are trying to put their best lap time down of the weekend on the harder tyre.
Yeah.
So clearly some work to be done, but maybe that's the other option, is make such a big differential that, you're going to throw some strategy in there.
So we done talking about
Nando?
Nando?
Who's your pick?
Right. Mercedes. So double podium. Kimi gets his first podium. They just look like the best car.
Yeah.
They had great. They looked great last year at Canada. This year, we've said it, they've always kind of just been a step behind McLaren
They're
and
second in
probably
the
Max.
constructors now, which is wild.
Yeah, and like, you can't take your eye off George. Like, he could still, if McLaren have more of these sorts of incidents,
Mr. Steele,
he
your
can
race
just
win.
creep in and he could snag second in the championship.
He's pretty far behind. Because I know we spoke and I thought I gave you a bum steer with the championship points.
Okay, yeah.
But
that sounds like you.
Yeah, I think now he's like 18 behind Max, who's like 19 behind Lando. It's like he's pretty far behind. But again, I said to you last night, if that points between Lando and Max is 18 points, come next weekend, the exact same result happens. There goes to second place in the championship.
That's right. Yeah,
it can be that close. So
so he's still in it, and he's still he hasn't given up on the season or switched off and gone, all right, let's just focus on next year. Yeah. So McLaren have to just keep their eye on him, and so does Max.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, McLaren certainly don't have, in the drivers anyway, a big enough gap. Like, I'm hoping this is an anomaly, this race. If this is a turning point, it's not, they don't have a buffer enough to maintain clearly, like if they're quick, all of a sudden the, third quickest car, it'd be a struggle from here on out.
Well, you say third quickest car. If they're second in the Constructors' Championship now...
Oh, I'm saying McLaren.
Yeah.
If they're now, as of now, if this is an anomaly, if this is Mercedes have brought some killer upgrades and, Max is always thereabouts. Yeah. If this is a turning point in the season with the development, McLaren would be in with a real shock at the back end. Yeah,
there's still a lot of racing to go. So if McLaren are second in the Constructors, I mean, that says they have the second best driver pairing, and one of those guys is a rookie. Mercedes, that is, yeah. So, very impressive.
It's crazy, isn't it? Considering, Ferrari are fourth with Lewis, who just left that steaming pile, and he's got Charles next to him, and they can't get things happening.
All it makes me think is you just would love to know how much maybe Toto was imploring Lewis to stay. I know we haven't had a great car for the last 2 seasons, but we're making improvements. We've got things coming. Don't give up on us. Don't jump ship. You're making a mistake. Is this how you want to potentially end your career, by changing teams and going to a car that you don't understand and you've got to get used to? Yeah. And look at what his season's been. You don't really see, he had the one sprint win somehow. I mean, you look at that and you think, how did he pull that off?
He's absolutely nowhere, has been nowhere.
No, and you look at what George is doing, looking very comfortable in that team. Still hasn't signed a contract, whether that's his side or Toto's side.
I think every team is waiting to see what Max does.
Probably, which is usually the story, right? And then you've got a rookie he's just snagged his first podium. He's constantly getting points, and he's helped push them into second in the Constructors.
That's the thing. He held off
massive.
He held off a fully fledged pair of McLarens, but Oscar. That was 1v1. There was no other cars around. No manipulation. Oscar had the DRS, everything, and he held them off. Yeah, comfortably.
Yeah, Yeah, in a situation that is unfamiliar to him.
Yeah, so held off the current, Formula One. World Championship leader.
We're fans of him here. Whether that stays like that throughout his whole career depends on how much he puts it towards to Oscar. But I like the kid. All right, NERFED. I'm running with McLaren on this one. So just right from the get-go. Yeah, right from the get-go. There's probably other teams that still looked pretty piss poor out there. Alpine comes to mind.
But they're always piss poor.
That's right. They're consistently shit. Yeah. So McLaren just came into the weekend and they looked on the back foot right from the get-go. And immediately I was like, oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Again, they were there or thereabouts. Oscar was it less than a tenth? No, I think it was less than a tenth behind Max, but then I think George sort of blew him out the water a bit. But
eventually. The car, it took him a long time to get dialed in on the car.
And I think that was just a masterful lap by Oscar as well.
Yeah, I know they had brought upgrades and they were playing around with some of those, and that's naturally not going to maybe reflect how well the car can be tuned up for race day.
Well, I feel like they brought 3 upgrades, and I just feel like that is a bit of a strange thing to do.
Yeah, why? If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Well, bring upgrades, but maybe just do one at a time. In this case, they don't seem to have worked, but then how do you pinpoint
what's not working?
Yeah. And I know Oscar, went back to the original front suspension get-up, but still had the new front wing. I just feel like it muddies the waters a bit. If you bring one, it works or it doesn't. Yeah. Because again, every component manipulates the next component in line. Everything works in conjunction with each other. So to bring 3 at once, I think is a bit wild.
No. So for me, they were the team that took the biggest dip in performance.
Well, that's clear. I mean, I'm going to just go on a whim and assume I'm also right that McLaren, this is the first time neither of them have been on the podium this year.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
So
Yeah. There's always been at least one of them on the podium. So yeah.
yeah, so it's very much a dip in performance from them.
Yeah, we'll
And-
see how they turn around in Austria and whether it was just a track not suited to their package or
It's just
whether
crazy
something
to
has
see.
changed all
I
of a
mean, we
sudden.
know they definitely love a hot track,
Mhm.
or they can handle a hot track better with the way their tires stay cool. Like that's definitely their biggest thing. So Canada sounds like a cold place.
yeah.
So maybe
Yeah.
it was just a case of taking their greatest
Advantage.
advantage away
And having
and
it nerfed down.
level the playing field effectively, very much so.
Yeah.
I mean, all weekend they were talking about how they like their advantage is about a tenth.
Mm.
Like it's minuscule,
Yeah.
and it means they need to be on it. They need to be perfecting their laps because it takes something small for that tenth to evaporate. You know, so they've gone from being a tenth up on the field, and again, this isn't Mercedes of years gone where they're 8 tenths to a second quicker.
Yeah.
Like this is a tenth.
Yeah.
Like you still
Well,
have to do the job.
We're in the final year of this era where naturally all the teams are closer, together.
Yeah.
And it is always nice when you see in qualifying, like, the top 10 cars all within a second or the top
Yeah.
15 cars all within like a second and a half. And it's like, okay, there's not
Pretty rare. For
there's not
Formula
big
1.
blowouts. Yeah.
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 So no, it was awesome. So my nerve, I had the Formula 1 racing.
For a fourth
well,
round in a row.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly what we discussed. We're like, are you serious? Like, yeah. And again, we've said before, a boring race is generally a good thing for Oscar because he's generally at the front. Thereabouts.
Yeah. Except when he's fourth.
So we
Yeah.
didn't even get the cherries. But I heard, I think it was Horner, but I could be wrong. Maybe it was Andre. I don't know. Someone referred to it as the Dirty Air Championship,
Yeah.
and I was
yeah.
like, that's bang on.
Yeah, that is good.
Like
yeah,
that,
I like that.
it's all about getting out front,
Mhm.
being the lead car. We've seen it all year. It's some tracks more than others, but if you can get the clear air, like you're almost a shoe in for a win unless something strange happens, or like I said, McLaren there, in certain circumstances are a lot better. But if you can just get clean air, you're doing yourself a big favor.
Yeah, well, your percentage of winning sounds kind of stupid, but yeah, it looks like.
But the cars just
the race is
don't
yours.
race as well as without
Yeah.
sounding like Will Buxton here.
Yeah,
The race, you need to be.
They-
The racing is harder this year because of how developed the cars are and how much dirty air and turbulence and how big they are. And there's a lot of factors. It's the Dirty Air Championship, and I thought
that's good.
that's good.
Next year's regulations can't come quick enough.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Yeah, and they can come around in time because if this is the consistency of the racing for the whole season, and then we move into next year, I think that would take all the wind out of trying to get hyped for it.
Mm.
Yes, we have Oscar, and he's looking primed for a championship here.
Yeah.
But I'm not getting up at 3 a.m. to watch shit like that.
Yeah.
That makes it hard, man. So, all right, sweaty tryhard of the week. This one I give to Alonso.
Okay.
So, gets the 7th place, does it on one stop, and looked like the only guy out there that was actually trying to race for
Yep.
the majority of the Grand Prix. So,
Yep.
sweaty tryhard for me.
Yeah. All right. Mine is Oscar Piastri, purely for his defense. And we outlined it already.
Yeah, I'll pay that.
Pin perfect.
Yeah.
Like,
Knew exactly how to position the car, didn't he? And then, just made
it's
Lando
just,
look
you
silly.
don't see it that often these days with Formula 1. You often see dirty driving, forcing another car off, making and Max
A
is a
late
prime
braking
example.
maneuver.
Yeah, and but making the stewards make decisions about your racing. We don't see just both cars stayed on track, but like everything Oscar did was pinpoint.
When it
Nothing
happened,
questionable.
because it is a pretty bizarre thing to happen.
Hmm.
Like when you actually think about it, when you watch it, and like you said, the more you watch it, the more bizarre it seems. But when it first happened, I was a bit worried that
cut it
Oscar
off
had
or-
maybe like
yeah.
gone back a bit right, and they'll once they slow things down and you really analyze it, it can look very different. But he didn't do anything.
Like,
He
there was
literally just
three-
positioned in the car where he wanted to put his car,
Yeah.
and then forced Lando to make
He-
the move, and he just didn't.
Yeah, like there's three segments to that sequence. There was the hairpin, nailed it. The chicane, nailed it. The defense, nailed it. Like, it just blew my mind.
He
watching
couldn't have
it.
done it better.
There
No.
was literally no lockups, fully in control, nothing questionable.
Yeah.
Like, again, I've said it. Didn't have to even think about the stewards. Had to look at it. Like nothing.
All right. Your trash, bro.
Lando Norris. This is where he lands for me,
Yeah, okay.
for everything we just discussed.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean,
Absolute trash.
trash, noob, much of a muchness. But, yeah.
I think your trash, bro, hits a little harder.
Wait, my noob? Or your trash, bro?
The expression, your trash, bro,
Yeah.
hits a little harder than noob.
Well, he's still second in the championship, and he can still. He's not
fucking-
out
yeah,
of it.
cool.
He's not out of it.
Cool,
so-
but you're only as good as your last race, and
Yeah.
you look like a pretty fucking big amateur.
Yeah. All right. So my your trash, bro, goes to Danica Patrick. So I hate to jump on the hate train here, but
It's gaining momentum. The
yeah,
hate train.
it's frustrating to watch. You know, especially if you've been watching the sport for a while and you just can't understand what she's doing there. What does she bring? She has some pretty outrageous takes that even stump Brundle and Rosberg. But we have so many drivers to pull from and hear from and can have their insight and this is what we have. Like, I get that they're probably trying to get that American viewership, but I reckon it's turning more people off. You know, when you switch on and you gotta listen to some of the shit that comes out of her mouth, it's just like, what are we doing here?
Yeah. No, you're not wrong at all. And I think it's funny because it's probably been like 2 or 3 years we've been seeing it with Button. And I feel like at that time it was like, oh, maybe Button, like she was still saying some outrageous things.
Yeah.
But you could see it was annoying. It was like, maybe this is a him thing. But then watching the segment where she was with Rosberg, Rosberg's face was just all over the place where he was just like,
He
couldn't believe what she was saying.
He looked filthy. He
Yeah.
looked like he didn't want to be there doing
I mean, that's
this.
the thing. She's talking about, she's breaking down how the Canadian Grand Prix track works. But it's not like she ever raced it.
Well, especially in a
She
Formula
was-
1 car, right?
Well,
As
yeah, I mean, she was
different to a
Indy-
stock car.
IndyCar, NASCAR, I don't know. It's not her neck of the woods, especially IndyCar, NASCAR, where 90%, especially back then, was ovals.
Yeah.
Like, very different from circuit racing, and especially these cars.
I'd
Like,
rather listen to Will Buxton. Yeah,
Oh.
at least he's funny.
Is he
You know?
funny?
Well, because of how
She had some terrible takes as well.
well, like funny, not in the sense of like he's trying. He's not trying too hard to, have some sort of a hot take.
Yeah.
He just says a
He
dumb
says the
thing.
obvious thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like the dumb obvious thing, and
Yeah.
it gives you a little bit of a chuckle. So,
Yeah. The first car across the line will win the race.
yeah. The
Um,
best place to start the Grand Prix is on pole.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
I did think it was funny. I did like her comments was something along the lines of, at this track, one corner just leads to the next corner. And it was like, wow, you're serious.
Connected by straights.
Yeah, that's quite remarkable. I mean, I guess, come from oval racing where it's one big corner. You're not really getting connecting pieces there.
I'd be happy to never see her on the broadcast again.
Yeah. I mean, like some of the other girls on the forecast are really good. Like,
Yeah, that
Naomi,
Natalie-
she come from the Formula W or something.
Yeah.
Good intel. Like if you're the female
Naomi, yep.
representation or whatever.
Yeah.
Again, there's a pool of female drivers, ex-female drivers that come from circuit racing.
But even someone like Natalie Pinkman, who I haven't actually seen for a little while, I don't know where her background is, but I think she approaches the way she handles her interviews or commentary with respect to
And
the
she
drivers
doesn't
and
try
to the
to-
people around her and to her viewers.
Yeah, but she doesn't try to digest and break down the nuts and bolts of racing.
Yeah, because she
Which-
doesn't.
Danica tries to
understand.
do, which she could do in IndyCar and NASCAR, but she just doesn't fit here. And then if it's the American representation thereafter, again, obviously females lack in male-dominant racing sports, so you might find that pool struggle to pull from if you want female American. But how many
Yeah.
categories are you trying to reel from? Like get an American driver and retired one. James Hinchcliffe, I think, does it for another outlet.
Yeah.
For Formula One. It's like, use that.
Yeah.
You've got female representation. She doesn't necessarily fit the Formula One model.
No.
So just kind of accept
Get her
it.
out. Get her up.
Oh,
Get
yeah.
her out.
Yeah.
Okay, next category is A.F.K. Who
So
you got?
you're skipping hard luck.
Next category is hard luck.
I've got Alex Albon.
Yeah, no, that's
Power
fair.
unit
Yeah.
failure.
He had a rough one, didn't he?
Yeah. My biggest takeaway from all these power unit failures is, touch wood, McLaren with their Mercedes power unit
Yeah.
have been very lucky, I suppose,
Yeah.
to have no
they-
issues. Mercedes have had issues. Aston Martin have had issues. Williams have had issues, all power unit related.
Yeah.
McLaren have somehow their batch has been primo, and
It does make you a bit
wood.
nervous, doesn't
It does, because there's a clear issue there, and it's the 3-pointed star, and it could blow a championship wide open.
Well, yeah, and then that's something you can't control, right?
Yeah.
So if it does happen, hopefully it's like in a practice session, you know, somewhere
plenty
where
of times for engines to expire. You're right.
yeah, not
But yeah.
not during the
I
Grand Prix
think
when it
Alex
matters
had a
most.
couple this year as well. So again, it's
Mm.
making me nervous.
All right, hard luck for me. I awarded it to Hamilton. So fortunately, he hit a groundhog and lost 20 points of downforce. You know, it didn't really affect his.
What's that mean? What's 20 points of downforce mean?
Good question.
Is that a
Apparently
percentage
affected
thing,
his
or-
car. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, like,
I just wanted to say it to sound fancy and knowledgeable,
Yeah.
but they kept saying about,
Yeah.
you know, he's lost 20 points, and
It's
it's
like
like
the class 1.5
Okay.
of rain that
Yeah.
they're going about.
that means nothing to me, but yeah, affected him enough, I guess, to just stay in 7th.
Yeah.
But yeah, no one likes to see that. Unfortunate for that groundhog.
It actually makes me laugh, not that he hit it, but we spoke about, they keep talking about Lewis lost 20 points of downforce at lap 13, but how can we
No
not
one
get a
could
replay?
solve it. Yeah.
Why is there such a mystery?
Yeah.
But I guess they probably had the replay and they're like, we're not going to show a groundhog getting slaughtered
Yeah.
on
Maybe-
national TV.
Maybe we'll keep this one
Yeah.
off the books. Yeah.
But no, it was so weird. It was
Yeah.
like, how's no one got info? Because they were all the commentators like, did he hit a curb? Like, what's
Yeah.
happened here?
Yeah, very bizarre to just not show any kind of footage or give you any sort of like, what did he do? Did he hit
Yeah.
someone? Did someone hit him? No.
And because I've seen the footage,
Groundhog.
very like the groundhog's in the shadow under like a sponsor bridge.
Yeah, okay.
You can't. It's really hard to spot. Like,
Yeah.
there's no way you, even if
Oh, you
they
got
were on
300
board with him.
kilometers.
Oh yeah, but I mean, even us through the camera,
Mm.
like that was I saw some slow down footage. You wouldn't have caught it even watching it because it's in the shadow. Like you can't even see it. You know. I mean, he was heartbroken. I heard. So
Yeah,
he's an animal activist, I guess.
yeah, he's a big animal lover. So hard luck to him in that groundhog. So all right, A.F.K. The turn 1 Verstappen Russell drama.
Yeah.
We didn't get it. So
He didn't
we
get
had
any drama.
we had all of the you know, the shenanigans of
Yeah.
Barcelona.
Yep.
And then both of those drivers managed to put it on the front row, and a lot of chatter, a lot of talk, you know, non-stop about points on my license, and I got spare points, and I'm, you know, piss off, this is childish, and all this chat, and then nothing. We didn't see anything. There was not even a battle. Like,
Well, actually, I saw a funny saw a funny like meme or a video or something, a short and a reel.
Yeah.
Before the race, and it was you know, in Oppenheimer when he kind of realizes what he's done and how it probably wasn't,
yeah,
and it's all crazy and there's a lot of noise and he's like, oh,
yeah,
but it was like Russell after qualifying.
Yeah.
Oh, it made me laugh.
who's your AFK?
Lewis Hamilton.
Oh, okay. Yep. That's a bit harsh on him. I think there's definitely more drivers and teams that were
Oh, look,
Lance Stroll.
yeah, look, I forgot. I got to give him a break every now and then. Like he's
Why?
wearing the pencil.
He doesn't even want to be there.
You're right. I did put him in AFK before I forgot about the groundhog incident. So, but
Yeah. Okay.
regardless, he qualified nowhere. He wasn't making inroads before he hit the hedgehog.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
if he wants sympathy, he can look elsewhere.
Let's wrap it up with the side quests. Who have you got for your side quests? I bet mine's better.
Karun Chandok.
Yep. What about him?
Made me really angry. So I don't watch post-race stuff often.
Yeah.
This Grand Prix was at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
And it finished, just before 6. And I thought I'd stay up instead of going catching half an hour of Z's before work. So I watched some post-race stuff, and Karun Chandok was there on the touchpad.
Race control. Yep.
Yeah, talking about how the lap traffic didn't impact any of the cars.
Yeah. No.
Just-
Was his eyes painted on?
Fully
Was he watching
forgetting,
the same Grand Prix as us?
fully forgetting how Oscar had a 2.5 second lead over Lando before the lap cars, and it was in DRS range to Kimi.
Yeah.
And then after the lap car debacle, Kimi was 1.8 seconds down the road, and fucking Lando was 8 tenths behind him. So completely forgot about that, which irked me.
Interesting Easter egg, but yeah. Good try. Good try.
Tell me what you got.
commend
Stun
your
me.
effort.
Stun me. You don't do it often. When you're ready.
Wait. Are we talking about side quests?
Yeah,
Yeah. Sorry. We still have Easter egg.
Yeah.
Man, I'm all
You
over
were
the
all
shop.
over the shop. I don't know
Yeah.
what's going on.
All right.
thought
So
it
my
was just
side
gonna let
quest
you
went to Ben Stiller. You know?
Oh, yeah.
His team got knocked out of the playoffs, so what does he do? Jump on a plane and head straight to Canada.
That did make
Jump
me
on the F1
away.
bandwagon.
That
So
did make me laugh.
he's got like 5 passes on.
Yeah.
He's got the headset. He's like on the pit wall.
Yeah.
Then he's in the
I was going to text you about it.
garages. I'm like, this guy went courtside
It was
basketball.
Nick's Indiana, one or the other. He's courtside. He's doing the thing.
He's literally on a sporting side quest. He's just ticking them all off. So
I was the first thing I thought of.
Yeah.
When I saw, that's a good one. That is a good one.
can't lie. Kind of wish I was Ben still.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Okay, so Easter egg.
Lando is closer to Max than he is to Oscar in the championship, which I just thought was an interesting tidbit.
Yeah, he might be fighting Verstappen again,
Yeah, he's closer to
just not for first.
closer to Max than he is to Oscar. Like, who would have seen that after 10 races?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well, 14 to go, so anything can happen, and he can still bounce back. Like I said, I think his
absolutely.
confidence is going to take quite a hit after that. But luckily for him, the summer break's coming up. Might be just what he needs to reset, and then attack the back half of the season and see if he can still make a run at the championship.
For sure.
My Easter egg goes to Fred Vasseur. So you probably would have caught the comments. But basically he said something along the lines of, we changed the team principle, we've changed the drivers, we've changed almost everything except for one thing. Essentially talking about Ferrari's lack of success over the years. What do you reckon that one thing is?
See, I did see the comments, and two things caught me by surprise. What was the first thing? We've changed team principles.
We've changed team principles.
So he, as a team principal, is a strange thing to say that. As in he's now team principal.
Yeah.
Thought that was strange. The only thing I could put it down to is Ferrari. What's the one thing they haven't changed? Ferrari. Yeah,
As in like Ferrari power.
Yeah, everything. Ferrari power, Ferrari mindset about how they're making the car. Like,
Yeah.
they haven't won a championship in
Since 08.
17 years, 07.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if my maths checks out. I can't be bothered. So, whatever, a long time. And they haven't been in the hunt in 8 years since Vettel was, putting a bit of a run on. It's been a long time. And
For a prestigious team like theirs.
been very poor for the last sort of 5 years. And we spoke about it last week. You know, they're not, for me, I don't think they're the Formula One team anymore.
No.
I think they've lost that mantle.
No. I was skeptical if he was maybe talking about their loyalty to keeping, Italian, like the team very Italian dominated, whether it's in the cockpit or, in the sheds. So,
Yeah, well,
he's got to do whatever he can to keep his job right. And that means probably throwing shade at other people who aren't quite performing.
we've seen the team manager role is a hot seat at Ferrari.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if engineers are moving at all, but I don't think at this point it's the team managers.
No, when you pay big money to someone like Hamilton to come over, and you had a pretty decent year last year, and you've only gone backwards.
Dramatically backwards.
Yeah, some questions are going to get asked.
I mean, he was proud as punch pre-season about nabbing Hamilton.
Yeah.
He thought he'd done the thing he needed to put Ferrari back on track.
Still got to build a good car.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's move into the ranked.
Driver rankings.
Okay, so the race was, pretty boring for 95% of it.
Yep.
So we've probably already hit most of the talking points. There's not really too much to break down again from here.
Mhm.
So who do you have in bronze?
Max Verstappen.
Wow, that's low. That's low considering he's supposed to have a piece of shit car and he's still almost put it on pole and still collected a very comfortable second.
Who besides Yuki and what's the other kid's name?
Lawson.
Says that's a shit car?
Well, yeah, that's true. That's true.
Look, I expected big things from Max. He'd never put any kind of charge onto Russell. Maybe in the back of his mind it was, let me see if I can get anything at 1, and if I can't, I will protect my 1 measly point. But yeah, he didn't impress me. I mean, yeah, second, cool. He qualified second, it's all good, but...
All right. Yeah, okay. Bronze, I gave this one to Oscar Piastri. So,
Well, a bit low.
well,
Jeez.
again, the McLarens, they seemed like they're underperforming all weekend, struggling to get to grips with the car on this particular circuit. He didn't have a terrible race. We've spoken about it already. He still qualified third. He still salvaged.
Well, I think that's low considering he actually had to race a car on track and come off triumphantly.
Yeah, but then he couldn't pass Kimi.
Yeah, but Kimi's got the same car as Russell, who blew the field away.
Yeah, but Oscar has... We've seen the McLaren be the best car all year, and Oscar has way more experience than Kimi at this point. He had... I don't know. I do feel as though he could have put a move on Kimi. Like, Kimi got him on the off the line, which that sucks. That hurt straight away.
I think that was a lot of... Oscar was in a slight mindset of championship protection.
Possibly.
He knows his teammates 3 spots back. He needs to survive the first lap.
There's only 3 spots, you know. So if you can get on that podium, if you can possibly get a second and your teammate's still stuck in 7th, now we're talking about maximizing and opening that championship. So, you know, lucky for him, Lando decided to destroy his own race. So, you know, he still probably really gets maximum points against his teammate if he was to finish.
Yeah.
But, yeah, a little bit of nothing to be concerned about. I just think that they didn't.
I think it was.
They didn't maximize the weekend, maybe how they have.
Well, clearly they didn't, because they didn't get podiums. I mean, you said yourself the team as a whole is nerfed. You said that.
Yeah.
So, but I think Oscar put the qualifying together to maximize what he had. Clearly, like I don't think he'd been that high all weekend. Yeah, cautious off the start, which I'd prefer him to be cautious and come fourth than get into a tussle with Kimi on lap 1 and DNF effectively potentially. So I think that was the right way to go about it for him. That's smart.
Yeah.
This is the mindset he needs to start carrying with his 22-point lead now. But again, I just think he had to race for 4th. And the differential that was from him to the Mercedes was evident, was visual, was clear. You know what I mean? That Mercedes was obviously a better car. I mean, you said he's got...
So where do you have him then?
Who?
Oscar.
Gold.
Gold. Okay. Yeah. Just checking.
Well, I don't have him at the top because, again, he didn't put it together in quality.
No. Just because you're doing all the talking on my driver. So
okay.
I was just checking. I
just don't understand how you have him in as the 5th best driver when he came 4th.
Well,
and deserve and
you'll see with the drivers who I have.
You got Hülkenberg in diamond, do you?
I have him in silver, so I have him in the next rank. How can I not? I mean,
for his 8th place
in a Sauber. This dude's ancient. He's been in F1 with no success forever. He's in a Sauber, and now he's had back-to-back points finishes. That's impressive, considering again still how many cars are behind him in probably better cars. Sauber has not looked anything special ever.
Yeah, first back-to-back points finishes since Bottas did it in 2022.
Yep, there you go.
I mean, again, all it takes is a stunning qualifying.
That's it, right? That's what you got to do. He's doing what he's got to do to try and get them off the bottom of that ladder.
So you're giving him silver for qualifying, not for racing.
Have you not done this before?
Yeah, but I'm all about that. And every time I do it, you're all like, "Oh, qualifying doesn't get points."
Well, yeah, but he put the car in a position that when Albon made his mistake and had his little kerfuffle with Gasly, he overtook the 2 cars, and then he was basically sitting behind Alonso for the majority of the race.
Any racing wrong.
And and he took advantage of the opportunities, and that's what you have to do when you're in those shit boxes down there.
So you got him ahead of the guy who fought the best battle we've seen all season, and fought triumphantly for 4th. Okay.
I saw him in my top 5.
All right, my silver is Fernando Alonso.
Your boyfriend. Yeah. I'm surprised you don't have him on diamond.
Why? He didn't do anything spectacular. He just races hard out there.
I know you're a big fanboy of him.
Why wouldn't I be?
Well, we're awarding the drivers on their
and he was.
race.
We've already said it. He was the only one out there racing on the racetrack with his race car.
Yeah.
He wasn't out there just racing to a number. He wasn't doing time trials like everyone else. He was out there racing.
Yeah. No, I did think about putting him down, but I knew you'd have him. So I thought it'd be funny to put Hulk in there.
I knew you were going to have Hulk in there. As soon as you love Hulkenberg, hey, if he has something of a decent result, he is in your list.
I don't really notice him until after the rest of my
pre-season. You're like, why is Hulkenberg still got to see? Hulkenberg sucks. Fucking get him out of here.
I still agreed with that.
And then every time if he
me.
gets anywhere close to the point, you're like, oh, did you see Hulkenberg on the weekend?
Oh, he's one position behind your mate in a Sauber. You're in a Aston Martin, who. Daddy Stroll is bankrolling that team. They got Nui in the bleachers ready to go. He's got every...
Yeah, and they've written this car up well and completely, and so have sour,
Yeah.
sure. but
You're comparing a big boy team to a little boy team, a 2-time world champion to a no-time
what
world
makes
champion.
Aston a big boy
someone
team?
who hasn't even won a race.
So what makes Aston a big boy team?
Well, the money that they got behind them, they've got plenty of talent in their crew, and they got a 2-time world champion driving for them.
Yeah, 14 years ago.
Still,
Still.
Hulkenberg hasn't even run a race. So
Yeah, but you've said yourself that Alonso's well past his prime, which is clear.
and so is
But
Hulk,
he should be out of the category
and
because he's.
so should Hulk.
You don't make sense.
Okay.
Do you like the guy or not?
No, I don't. But that doesn't mean I can't commend his efforts in his race. So
You got this thing for like really displacing Oscar. You say you're a big fan, but as soon as
I'm
you
a
get the
big fan.
chance to piss on him, you get your dick out and you piss all over him.
oh, I don't understand where I pissed on him here.
Well, we finished 4th, which he had to fight for that place, and you've got him as your 5th best driver.
I don't see what the issue is.
Who's your gold?
Max Verstappen. So and I said it before. He still qualified great. I thought he had pole wrapped up.
But this is not
And
a
like
surprise.
he's like a thorn in your side. You're like everything should be going McLaren's way, so everyone says. Yeah,
A 4-time world champion on the trot, defending 4-time world champion to this point, is a thorn in their side.
Well, because like again, they should be every time it's like everyone goes into every weekend going it's McLaren's to lose, and who is always there putting the screws to him? It's Max. It's no one else. George happened to pull it off this weekend out of maybe a little bit. No one was really.
That's what I
talking
mean. I
about
don't
it.
think that car is still clearly not off the truck championship contender ready, but still close enough.
Yeah, I mean, everyone says the whole narrative for it, and whether we believe it or not, I don't know. But the whole narrative is the McLaren is a really well balanced car that can have success at every track, and the Red Bull apparently is a handful to drive and has all sorts of weird inconsistencies that only Max can drive, and even he's struggling with it. And
And when we saw Red Bull, they've had a couple of tracks in the past that they struggled at, Singapore, namely. McLaren have found their track where they just couldn't turn it on.
Yeah. So anyway, I still think he just went about his business. He didn't do anything silly. He didn't, bait into George's games. Collected a very solid second, and he's still in the championship. He's still a threat. So
my god's Oscar, for everything we've said. I've got him ahead of Max because he had to earn his 4th place.
Yep.
During the race.
So platinum,
Kimi Antonelli.
same. Yeah.
Cool.
First podium.
Yeah.
Good on the kid.
And he earned it off the line, and then held off a fast charge Oscar at the end. So
Yep.
definitely earned that 3rd place for sure.
And then George Diamond. Good for
Jorge
him.
Arcel.
Yeah. I did have a chuckle when he got the pole, and he was like on the team radio. He was like, "Talk to me."
Yeah,
Talk to me.
I didn't know if I was hearing that right.
Yeah, and I was like,
Weird.
are the team like, are they not stoked for him? And then to the point that he's got to like demand some praise.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
I thought I was hearing it wrong, but yeah, I guess that's what he said.
Super weird. All right, let's wrap it up. Hit me with the Sunday sesh.
Sunday sesh.
All right, so I'll ask you a question here. Something that happened on this day. If you get it right, you're a Formula One fan. What is it? Diehard
Purist.
Sorry. I just love diehard.
One day you'll get it right.
Oh, I'm just mumbling. I have nothing written down here. I'm just.
It's been a long day. I got no sleep last night. Canada is a brutal time.
If you get it wrong, our Box Box Bashers are Formula One purists.
And I'm the DDS
And you're a DDS fanboy.
bandwagoner.
Yep. / Formula One movie fanboy, of course.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. So
We'll go see it. We'll give our 2 cents
our hard work
to the
earned
6 people
dollars.
who want to know it.
Yeah.
All right. 32 years ago on this day, we lost a legend who succumbed to a heart attack in the early hours of the 15th of June, 1993. Who am I? Feel free to have a stab. I've got some hints. Have a
Is that
stab.
all I have to go off? Is it?
Yeah, have a stab. 1993. He was already a Formula One legend at that time.
There's a lot of legends. 93.
Test your knowledge. Throw someone niche out there and I'll give you a hint.
All
He's
right.
dead, obviously.
Okay. Thanks for the
Well,
thanks for the hint.
you can get lost.
He had a
in
heart
your-
attack. He's dead.
You can get lost in your thoughts.
All right. I feel like it would have been Bruce McLaren because I feel like we would have heard, something like that, especially with all the narrative around McLaren. So let's go Brabham.
Wrong. Okay. So first hint, he was a one-time world champion with McLaren
Okay.
in the 70s.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm testing your knowledge here, I've told you. I'm not going to make these easy for you anymore.
Yeah. No, give me the second hint.
And I do know for a fact that you have at least heard of this driver.
Okay. Well, that fills me with so much confidence that I'm going to get this. Yeah.
He's British. He was born in Britain. British.
Yeah. Okay. 70s British McLaren world champion. All right, give me the third
I'm
hint.
scared I reckon you'll get to this third hint.
Yeah.
He reportedly smoked 40 cigarettes a day.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm looking forward to you getting
Alright.
this one wrong.
Man, my memory is shocking. The only one I can think of is James Hunt.
God damn it! Yeah, that's him. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, you might get this one because
Yeah.
if you think of a Formula One driver in the 70s smoking, I feel like you picture the
him. Yeah.
James Hunt smoking on his car without a
Your hit was
t-shirt.
good.
And
It hit the spot.
Yeah.
But it's funny because I was trying to picture him like, what racing suit do I see him in?
True.
Like I couldn't think like, was he a McLaren driver?
Yeah.
And I haven't seen that movie for a long time. So, and I knew he had died in the 90s, but I don't think I remembered it was from a heart attack.
I didn't think it was a heart attack. When it came up, I thought it was either a plane crash for some reason, or a car, or like a motor racing crash, but not necessarily in the 90s. So
Yeah. So, how long was he in McLaren for?
he raced for 7 years,
So he had a good stint as well. Yeah.
10 race wins. I don't know if it was McLaren or 7 years, but he raced his career was 7 years long.
Yeah. Okay. And wait, his career was only 7 years long.
Yeah, I think he
Right.
retired his title year in 79.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
I think that was
There
the, watch the movie.
Isn't
that
that
was-
funny? He's a world champion and he has 10 career wins to his
Yeah,
name.
crazy, hey. And he over a 7-year career.
Doesn't somehow like the math doesn't work.
No,
but-
I was the same. I was surprised. I was like,
Oh, there you go. All right. We pulled this one together.
mhm.
Yeah, well, at least this Montreal gave us some more talking points. So
A big one. 2 races in a row where we've been saved by the bell.
yeah, like literally
The last
yeah.
last few laps moment.
Still looking good for our boy Oscar. He forges on.
Looking better.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Probably best case scenario.
Best case
You know.
scenario for a race week where pretty clearly straight away they weren't going to be
Mm.
a shoe-in for the
I
win.
like monitoring the practice sessions. I was like, oh boy, like this feels like one of those races where Lando will somehow put it together. He'll get a win, and Oscar will be stuck in like 6th or something. That was kind of where I was, a bit worried going into qualifying.
He definitely seemed to have a leg up.
And when he put it up above Norris, I was able to rest easy.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, no, we're good. We're good.
Yeah.
All right, Austria's next.
Yep. We got a week off, so
we got a
we'll
week off, and then
we'll bring something special out.
looking forward to it. And get the hell out of my house.
Oh, I can't wait. I'm so tired.
All right,
All right,
GG's.
see you next week.